everyone, and welcome to another edition of Let's Talk Donation with Gift of Hope Season 2. I am your host, Olivia Fox, and of course, we are here as we are each week to talk about organ and tissue donation in our community. Just as we are each week, we are streaming live at cantv.org/hotline, and you can call in and join our conversation, ask us any questions that you might have, share any comments that you might have. You can reach us at 312-738-1060. So call in and join the conversation. So I know a lot of you all have been hearing the commercials and we're like, talk donation. What's this all about? What type of donation? Donation to charity? Donation to education? What? Actually, it's a little bit of both. It's charity to our fellow man, woman, and child, as well as education about organ and tissue donation. Each week, a special guest and I will cover topics about organ and tissue donation, and also, even more specifically, what minorities need to know about participating in this process. Ultimately, our sole purpose is to give you enough information to dispel the long-standing myths and misconceptions that have plagued us, also while helping our viewers to understand that Gift of Hope is an honorable and trusted partner in the community. We recognize that minorities have a significant fear of healthcare entities, and let's face it, many of them are well-founded. But within the last 30 years, with advances in modern medicine, with our hospitals, with amazing transplant physicians and doctors, our religious and community partners, Gift of Hope has really been able to help turn tragedies to triumphs through organ and tissue donation, while also supporting our donor families, recipients, and those still waiting for a life-saving organ. So welcome. We're so glad to have you here today. And right after this commercial, we will return. This is our regularly scheduled commercial break. So we'll see you for donation news right after this.
Has made a huge impact on a lot of people. This one right here, sitting next to me especially. When Gift of Hope came to me and asked me for the donation, it made me feel very confident knowing that I can give my baby's heart. This is Nikki's heart beating inside Tanisha's chest.
So when I heard this pounding, like, what is that noise? And the nurse said to me, that's your heart.
I carried Nikki for 9 months. Now Tanisha's gonna carry her the rest of her life.
Say yes to donation. Start the conversation with your loved ones today.
Welcome back, everyone. So this week in donation news, we have a couple of really cool things. This week we celebrate Nurses Week. Yay for all the nurses out there. A couple weeks ago we celebrated Transplant Nurses Week, but this week is National Nurses Week, and we are celebrating and saying a special thank you to all of those hero nurses, lifesavers out there. You guys are so special. Nurses are an integral part of the life-saving process, but also the donation process. So while the nurses that work in the hospitals are solely responsible for doing everything that they can to save your life, there are also people with nursing backgrounds that do work for Gift of Hope and do other life-saving donation and transplantation work. So big shout out to nurses. Where would any of us be without all of you all? So special thank you to you guys. Big hugs. Also, a story we talked about last week in donation news, Jean Schmindel, who was the heart recipient who was walking from Ohio to DC, made it to DC on Sunday. Wow, he made it on Sunday, May 6th, and he is scheduled to meet with lawmakers about different issues regarding organ and tissue donation tomorrow. So thank you to him for doing that and raising awareness about organ and tissue donation. You are helping all of us in this community and doing a great thing for everyone, and what a great way to say thank you. Also, finally, something that I thought was really cool that I don't think that we touched on a few weeks ago in donation news was a huge Guinness Book of World Records event that happened right here in the Chicagoland area. It actually happened right in the downtown area at the Bean. It was the largest meeting of living donors. It was the largest living donor rally. So this was organized by the Transplant Village at Northwestern Hospital. All of this connections were made through Facebook. They invited everyone through Facebook and did all of the marketing that way. And it was an event where 438 living donors ended up coming out. Wow, that is pretty amazing. So there are people from all over the country, even from different countries. So that was a really, really awesome showing of people that believe in organ and tissue donation and really support this cause. So they were also supported by many other transplant recipients, many other donor families. So this was just a really great event in the donation transplantation community. So that's it for donation news for today. As always, each week we want to remind you guys, reach out to us at www.giftofhope.org, and we would love to have you join our conversation. Start the conversation with your loved ones today. If you guys don't do anything else after you guys have watched this show, after you have listened to the story of my awesome guest who I'm so excited to have, please visit our website. And if you have not done so already, please register to be an organ and tissue donor. And really consider saving a life. You can do that on Gift of Hope's website, giftofhope.org, or if you are interested in participating with Gift of Hope in any way, you can reach out to me at ofox@giftofhope.org. If you have a story that you would like to tell, if you are a donor family, if you are a recipient, if you would just like to get involved and help us educate the community about organ and tissue donation, please reach out to me at ofox@giftofhope.org. So this evening, I am so excited to have our very special guest.
Thank you.
Hey, this is Pastor Kyles. Welcome our guest, everyone. This is Pastor Kyles from the Promise Church. Welcome.
Yes. Thank you so much, honey, for the invitation. I appreciate that. I'm honored to be here. This is really wonderful. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. We're so excited to have you here tonight. And, each week I love to let my guests tell a little bit of their own story because, it's so fascinating to me. And I know that our viewers will be very interested to hear your story and kind of what you've been through. So let's start with that.
Okay. To tell you a little bit about me, I am a native of Chicago. I am a military veteran.
Wow.
I was diagnosed with a disease called interstitial pulmonary fibrosis, IPF, for those of you who have never heard of the disease. It's a progressive disease, but it can be very slow. Actually, I was diagnosed about 13 years before my transplant.
Wow.
So I was doing pretty good for about 10, 11 years, and then my health began to decline. In the last 2 years before my transplant, I actually spent on oxygen 24/7.
Wow, so you're dragging one of those oxygen tanks behind
Which
you?
I swore I would never do.
Wow. But you have to do what you have to do to survive, right?
Yeah, but I was one of those people who said, I don't want to look like somebody headed to the casino with this oxygen tank on wheels.
Wow, see, there comes those misconceptions about different stuff, right?
Very much so.
Yeah.
And thank God for that oxygen tank because it helped sustain my life. And once my health started to decline, my doctor suggested that I was going to need a transplant.
Wow.
And that conversation between my wife and I was very life-changing, and no other way to say it. And it took me a while to get prepared to be on the list. One of the biggest challenges, believe it or not, that I had to be listed was my dental work. The dental work was very extensive, very expensive. But once that was done and I was able to be listed, I was on the transplant list for about 8 days.
Wow. So that's actually an interesting point that you bring up. You said that it was kind of hard to get on the list, and that was because there's a lot of different testing that needs to be done. They they test you from the rooter to the tutor because they want to make sure that donation is really going to live well in that body and that you're going to be able to function and take care of it.
And they do it mentally and physically.
Wow.
So,
yeah.
Your mental evaluations are done, your family history.
Sure.
A lot of testing. As a matter of fact, it was almost a year of testing before I got listed.
Wow.
But once I got listed, the transition was very smooth, very easy. I was really amazed. When they called me to say that they had found an organ for me, I really thought it was a radio station.
Wow.
And one of my friends was punking me,
Wow.
because I couldn't believe it. People are on the list sometimes for months, sometimes for years, which I don't understand, excuse me, to be honest with you, because to me, this is a no-brainer. I was an organ donor before all of this happened. As a matter of
Okay,
fact,
okay.
I've been an organ donor since I had a driver's license.
Wow,
Which
okay.
we're not going to talk about how long that's been. That's
Right?
not
Because somebody just had a birthday, right?
Yes.
You won't tell.
Yes, no telling. Yeah, I've got young kids, so I'm not telling them.
You're wise. You're wise.
So actually, once the transplant took place, I had people calling me from different places in the country and reaching out by email and so forth, saying, we were encouraged by your story. Forgive me.
Okay.
We were encouraged by your story. A lot of men who were really fearful of going through the transplant process, and I fully understand that. A lot of other families who were concerned because their loved ones weren't getting listed. They didn't really know how to go about it and things of that nature. So I really feel like my journey, its purpose was to help other people to walk through this.
So greater than yourself.
Much, much greater than me. This story is so much bigger than me. This was, a gift for someone who, many tell me I'm a gift to their lives. I pastor a church. Beyond that, I pastor a community. I work with people all over the city. I've worked on a couple of the city commissions, such as the Olympic Committee and some other committees through the city. So I love my city and I love to render service to it. And a lot of what I do is more about helping people reach their next level than it is so much about teaching them how to be religious.
Interesting.
I'm trying to teach them how to be relational. And if you got a relationship with God, I think that makes a huge difference. I know it made a difference for me.
That's interesting.
I told people I was on the transplant list for 8 days. My surgery was 8 hours. It was on February the 8th.
Wow.
So
That's a special number to you then.
the number 8 represents new beginnings.
Wow.
So I know this was not a coincidence.
I believe
And
that.
my story, again, is one that people need to hear. So everywhere I go that I get an open door, I talk about my transplant. I talk about, what I've been through. And, I'm 2 years out now.
Wow. And I would never be able to look at you again.
And many people say that I to look at you, I would never know that anything had ever happened. I'm fortunate and I'm blessed, and I realize that. And there are others out there, and I'm going to drop names right now.
Please do. Please do.
My friend, my sister, Pamela Morris, who is
Love Pam Morris.
Yeah, Pam is my friend, and I did everything in my power to encourage Pam during her transition period. When you get that kind of news, that you need a transplant, it can be devastating. So to have someone who's been through the process talk to you about it really makes a huge difference.
And so for those who don't know, Pam Morris had a heart transplant. She is a well-known gospel radio host in the Chicagoland area who received a heart transplant after, battling with illness as well, and, having to go through the same things as you to get listed and, to kind of navigate that area. So to have someone like you, and a friend and someone that can help mentor her through something like this, how lucky
a friend and a brother.
That's a
That's
brother.
my sister.
That is awesome. And I really believe that's really important for our community. We always talk about supporting, our own community and supporting Black dollars. And, we really want to support each other in education too, and making sure that we know the different paths that there are, and, really being able to encourage each other and, help guide each other's way, things that we've been through, and be able to help other people.
It will be a life-altering thing, and you're going to need people to help walk you through those moments where you say, wait a minute, is this, something I really want to pursue? You can get discouraged with all the doctor visits and the medications. And, of course, sometimes when doctors and nurses and so forth talk to you, they have to give you the worst case scenario. You know, that's their job. But you need someone that says, okay, now we know that report. Let me tell you what the other report is.
Definitely.
You know, and,
Yeah.
and help people to, again, I love the name, hold on to hope. You know,
Yeah.
and for families who are, and we discussed this a little bit earlier, who is still struggling,
Yes.
you know, with that.
Many in our community.
Oh, man, I've heard so many misnomers and so much misinformation as it relates to donation. But I want to just look in the camera, if you don't mind,
Please
and just
do.
ask people this question.
Let our viewers know they're listening.
If you see me and you think that I am someone who brings a positive to our community, why would you let me die if you had the opportunity to keep me alive? I really want to place that at your feet. If you're a loved one, and I realize, you know, that the gift that's offered of a loved one's organs, I realize the significance of that. And I understand how it can be very emotional. And, you know, people are thinking all kinds of things during that period. But I want you to think about the good news, which is they get to live on through someone else.
It's
You
that
know,
legacy.
I'm
That
carrying
legacy.
some other family's life inside of me.
Definitely. Now, it looks like we got a caller here. Somebody I'm sure wants to ask you a question, Pastor Kyle. So
I'd
go ahead
love
and put
to.
the caller through. Hey, caller, what's your name and what's your question or comment?
Hi, my name is Estrella, and I'm calling to ask if he gets priority because he's a veteran in the donation list, and is it does it go like first come first serve?
That's a great question.
It is.
you
The
like to
answer
answer
to
that?
that question is no, I did not receive any preferred treatment because I'm a veteran. The list, basically, you are given a number based on how sick you are. So you could be...
And that's specific for lungs.
Yes.
Because it depends on the organ. So the listing criteria is different based on the organ. So
Okay.
for lungs, you are absolutely correct.
Right.
You are given a number based on how sick you are.
Right.
Nothing else is part of that list. None of your social history, your race,
None of that.
none of that is listed.
Right, right. It's strictly, you know, I was very, very sick, and I needed a transplant immediately, right away. And for that reason, my name floated to the top, as they say. So I was just grateful. I have no idea how or why, but I'm just grateful that it happened. So if you have a loved one, the fact that they're very ill and they're very much in need, their doctor.
Listed.
Yeah,
them
their
listed.
doctor knows what to do, but you've got to work with your doctor to make sure that you're healthy enough for a transplant.
Yes, and you have to be your own best advocate, right? So
Absolutely.
while the doctors are the ones that, you know all this information, we have to do our due diligence as patients and as, community members, just making sure that we're doing our part on our end,
Yeah.
making sure that we're going to our appointments, making sure that we're following up with the doctor, making sure that we're going to get another opinion if we're feeling like the treatment or the treatment plan is not what we think it should be.
Right.
We have to be our biggest advocates, our biggest supporters, and then also supporting our brothers and sisters in our community.
To answer also your question, I am a veteran, and I do. My doctor is at Hines Hospital here in Maywood, Illinois. My doctor from Hines referred me to Loyola Hospital. So all of my care was given at Loyola, even though I was a patient from Hines.
Okay, that's an
so
interesting
if
point.
your loved one is a veteran, they will probably be referred. Note the word probably. I'm not a doctor, so I don't get the final say, but
To a
they
transplant
could be
center.
referred to a transplant center that specializes more in that area.
Exactly. That is absolutely correct, Pastor Kyles. You are an expert just
I'm-
in this field.
I'm
You've been through a lot.
I've been through it, so maybe that's why I can retain so much of the
Yes.
information.
Yes.
It's important though that you, like you said, do your due diligence, do your homework. You know, sometimes people have again all of these misnomers and misinformation about how this process goes, and You know, I want to go back to donor families. I cannot stress enough to you about the misnomers and misinformation in our community.
Yeah.
People talking about how they're going to, my loved ones have to be buried with all the organs.
I
Those
have to
organs,
leave here with what I came with.
those organs are going to turn to dust. And somebody could have been saved by that.
So what about people that say that their religion doesn't? You know, as a pastor, I'm kind of referring to you.
Yeah.
You know, for these answers about the religious community, because so often, you know, even though I work for Gift of Hope and I understand that all the major U.S. religions support organ and tissue donation, why do some people use, you know, religion as kind of a barrier
As a
to
cover,
say,
yeah.
why
it's-
is that?
Again, we go back to misinformation. I actually heard a funeral director say that, you know, you don't want to give up your organs because they're going to sell them. This is the United States of America, man. There is no
no
selling
buying and
of
selling of
organs. If
No.
that was the case, I probably would have never got
Yeah,
one.
neither
You
would
know?
my mom have. 'Cause
You know,
we
I
have it
thank
like that.
God that my timing and I'm, you know, since I had to have a transplant, if it had not been for Obamacare, I don't know whether or not I would have medically qualified. So I thank God that through Obamacare I was able to get this transplant. But there was never a discussion about purchasing organs. That's just, it's illegal,
Doesn't
it's
happen.
immoral, it's not something that you're going to be looking to have a conversation with anybody about.
No, let's
So
throw that out now.
please throw
Take that out of
out.
our minds,
Throw
out of
that
our
away.
conversations. It's not a thing
Throw
that
that
happens.
away. And as far as religion is concerned, charity is the basis of every religion out there. And this is the greatest charitable gift you could ever give. You know, my cousin, God rest his soul now, Quinn, who was a baby at the time, was one of the first babies to receive a transplanted heart. Quinn
know about
spent
baby
time.
Quinn.
He spent time with us, with his family. You know, if it had not been for that transplant, Quinn would have never met his mom, his dad, never spent time with his cousins, never spent time with his family, his grandparents. You know, you got to really think about that. You know, yes, a baby had to die in order for Quinn to live. But that baby died of a natural cause or I should say a disease that affected that child's life. And the parents made the decision, we don't want our child to live like this. So it would be better if we
Let them
Give
leave
that-
a legacy.
leave the legacy, and they did that. And
Wow.
that was so, I mean, that's so profound to
It
me.
is. It is. So as we wrap up the show, I want to remind our viewers again to visit us at giftofhope.org. If you would like to join the donor registry, if you don't do it the next time you go to the DMV, please consider saying yes to be an organ donor. If you don't do it, then go to giftofhope.org. Click the big button on the bottom of the screen that says join the donor registry. It'll take you 15-20 seconds maybe. Please consider it. If you don't do anything else, start the conversation with your loved ones today about your wishes. Don't we all want to, kind of know what's going to happen to us after we leave here? I mean, we plan for everything else in this world. Why not let everyone know what it is that you would like done, what type of legacy that you would like to leave? Also, if you would like to work with Gift of Hope, if you would like to partner with us, if you would like to tell your story, please do reach out to me at ofox@giftofhope.org. Again, that's ofox@giftofhope.org. So, Pastor Kyles, as we leave the people this evening, what is one final thing you would like to say? We have about 30 seconds for you to leave our
30
viewers with
seconds.
something.
My wife, if she were sitting here right now, would tell you it is so wonderful to still have her husband.
Amen.
And my 9-year-old son, my 13-year-old
Amen.
daughter,
Amen.
and my 33-year-old daughter
Wow.
would be so happy
Wow.
to say to you, I'm glad my dad is still here. I'm glad my husband is still here. And I thank that family that made that donation for my life.
So from your family, I say thank you on behalf of them, because I'm grateful that you are here. I know they're grateful that you're here. And again, thank you to all of those donor families out there
Thank you so
that have said
much.
yes to donation and help save a life. So
Yes.
we will see you next week. Thank you for joining me, Pastor Kyle.
Thank you for the invitation.
And we'll see you next
I
week
could
for
get
other-
used to that.
Yeah, well, we might have to have you on again. So
Okay.
we'll see you all next week again for another episode of Let's Talk Donation with Gift of Hope. Have a
Thank
good one,
you.
everyone.
Thank you.